Now, as we've been reporting this morning, the Climate Change Minister, Penny Wong, today is going to release a draft of the federal government's plans for an emissions trading scheme.
To hear the opposition's concerns about an ETS, the Coalition's emissions trading design spokesman Andrew Robb joins us now from Canberra. Andrew Robb, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
No kangaroo stories?
No, we might see a couple popping up behind you there. Now, you met Christine Milne last night to talk about this Senate inquiry. What did you agree to?
Well, what we've agreed to, because I think everyone, including many in the caucus, think that what the government's come up with is so deeply flawed that we need to have an inquiry, which we will now have in the Senate for 2 months, which will look more broadly at what can be done, which won't cost thousands of jobs, but can also do something significant about CO2 emissions. At the moment, the government scheme, ironically, they've worked long and hard and they've delivered a scheme which will cost thousands of jobs, will kill investment and really won't do anything of any consequence about reducing CO2.
But what's the point of going down this path of a Senate inquiry when the government has already committed to an ETS? Well,
the point is that there are alternative ETSs to start with. There are alternative emissions trading schemes, none of which have ever been canvassed. There are other approaches. There are complementary measures such as soil carbon and revegetation and reducing energy and CO2 emissions from the whole commercial building sector. All of these things, which you think would be common sense, don't feature in any way in the government's scheme that's going to be put on the table today. So,
and a carbon tax is still a possibility?
All of those things need to get some airing. That's our point of view, because what they've come up with is so deeply flawed. No one's happy. I don't think you could find anybody outside of the government who would be in any way supportive of what the government has come up with, and there are many in caucus and even in cabinet who are deeply disturbed about the direction the government's taking this, especially at a time when we've got the economy under such enormous pressure. To bring in a scheme which is going to demonstrably make our businesses uncompetitive around the world, cost thousands of jobs, but at the same time do nothing about reducing CO2, it's just ridiculous.
So the government's hoping to have this draft legislation passed by June. There's no way that's going to happen in terms of what you're saying now.
Well, what we have agreed, and it has to go to our Senate Coalition party room today, but I'm very hopeful that it'll have clear passage there. An inquiry will start immediately. It will go for 2 months, and depending on what comes out of that inquiry, it's still consistent with debating the government's bill in June and seeking a wide range of changes, I suspect, during that debate.
Yeah, and there's no way you'd support it in its current form.
I don't think anybody supports it in its current form. I mean, why would you support some scheme that's going to cost literally tens of thousands of jobs and do absolutely nothing about reducing CO2 emissions? I mean, it fails on all counts.
Now, just briefly turning to a couple of other issues. On industrial relations, is the opposition going to vote against this bill or not?
We've got an important party room meeting this morning. Of course, we have said that we feel that those issues that were in work choices, the government's got a mandate to make those changes. But I think, as everyone is now starting to realise, what is being put before the Parliament has got a host of other changes to industrial relations which have got nothing to do with work choices and have everything to do with increasing union power, taking us back to the 80s in a way, getting a culture of compulsory arbitration, centralised wage determination.
So there's a chance you will block this?
There are things there that we are deeply concerned about, but as I said earlier, those elements which mirrored work choices, the now government took it to the last election, and they have got a mandate on those issues. That's what we'll be debating this morning in the party room.
OK, just very briefly and finally, there's another poll out today showing Peter Costello enjoys double the support of Malcolm Turnbull. Is it time for Peter Costello to step up?
Look, Peter is entitled and is making a strong contribution as a backbencher. The polls, they've been running these sorts of polls ever since the election. We're not focused on this. We've got really big issues with emissions trading, with the industrial relations, with just trying to keep people in jobs out there. That is our focus, and that's how we will pursue the months ahead.
Okay.